And ladies and gentlemen, we're back. It's good to be back. It really is. And we've actually got a bit of a treat for you guys. I'm actually really excited because not all that often do we get to cast other casters. And Jowj, would you be so kind as to introduce our players for us, please?
I would. Here on the bottom left-hand side of Whirlwind, we're going to have a PVZ. The bottom left-hand side, we have SSEAS Livibee, which is a caster, and I'm actually not familiar with her work. Would you be able to go into that a little bit more?
Her name's Olivia. She's from Sydney, Australia, so she flew quite some ways in order to be at this tournament. I haven't actually had a chance to look at a lot of her work. I know that she's a caster. I was like, wait a minute, I know this player. I've seen this, but I had to do a quick look up just to see exactly who she is. Guys, check her out. She is on Twitter, and she's also on Facebook as well, facebook.com/thelivibee, Livibee, just the way it is on the screen is up in the top right-hand corner. And who's this other player that he's going to be playing against, or rather she is going to be playing against?
Yeah, and in the bottom right-hand position is their pro player against PVZ. This is MisterDee, and unfortunately I don't know very much about MisterDee. I believe that he's attended several MLGs in the past, but you know, he's not a pro, but he's been around.
Yeah, his name is David. He's a native to Anaheim, so obviously he's going to attend MLG events in his hometown. It would make perfect sense. I think Anaheim and California, for that matter, actually like the holy mecca in North America of esports. So he's in a really good position, and both of them scouting out. Now this is a big map. Whirlwind is a great map, especially for PVZ, actually for any matchup for that matter, because of the fact that really for the most part, early rushes just generally don't happen on here because of the fact that you have to scout so many spawning locations.
That's right. There's no spawns disabled or anything like that in this MLG. So each player could be anywhere, and the other player could potentially scout that player last. So the early silly things like proxy pin gates, that won't really be happening on this map. But there's a little bit of an interesting opener for MisterDee. He's doing a gateway expand with a very cool wall off. I like this. He's walling himself off very nicely with two pylons, a gateway, and cybercore. This is in case it's something like a 14-14 gas pool all speed all in, but that's not what's coming up from Livibee at all in this case. She's playing very standard, going pool and then hatch, making a couple of zerglings to scout for pylons and to make sure that the third base can go down uncontested, but you know, nothing really aggressive.
No, certainly not. I think both players are just taking it a little bit, well, I guess you could say a little bit easy. Getting that Nexus up now is MisterDee. He's going to be pretty happy with that. Getting that up, given the additional economy, be able to take on a two-basing Zerg. And yeah, we don't see any real kind of hijinks out of Livibee. She is a caster. I'm sure she knows how tournaments go, what she can expect as far as tournament play goes. So, but she's also playing very safe as well. Very standard openings by both players. And we have a little scouting Zerg moving its way in, and it's going to visit the mothership core in the harshest of ways, and doesn't last long either, for that matter.
Yeah, and there's also a probe from MisterDee that's getting into the main base of Livibee. He's going to come in, he's going to see the fact that one gas was taken as a response to that late expand that has to be a gateway expand. And he's going to back out and get picked off by a queen. But yeah, so that gas that Livibee is taking, that's going to be for speed primarily. She may or may not choose to keep guys in gas and go for a Roach Foreign as an extra measure of defense. But at the very least, it's for speed so that she can more effectively deal with any crazy 4-gate timings or things like that. But a 4-gate is not what's going to be coming up from MisterDee. MisterDee is adding a forge and a robo. The robo is actually part of his wall up, interestingly. That might show Livibee that she was like, oh no, this could be a all-in attack coming. But in this case, it looks to be a very macro heavy opener from MisterDee. He goes gateway expand, but he's adding on the forge, he's adding on robo and pecking up rather fast and making investments that wouldn't work out for a really heavy aggression.
No, you're absolutely right. He's throwing down the forge, which certainly he's going to be using for upgrades. Maybe throw down a cannon up at the front door just to help out. No, it doesn't look like he's going to do that. Yep, indeed, he's going to use it for +1 weapons. That'll give Zealots those advantages against the Zerglings very early on. We do see gas still being saturated here in Livibee's base, grabbing another gas as well. And it looks like about Zergling speed is about halfway done. Roach Warren on the way, about halfway done as well. And a bunch of spines up front for defensive purposes. So again, everything being very safe. Both players know that they're in the loser's bracket. bracket. They didn't make it through the winners bracket in round 1, so they know that they have to stay in this if they wish to have a chance advancing through this tournament. Losers bracket is their only way that they can get back up into the championship. And yep, Warpgate just finishing up. Both players, like you say, just taking it very easy, macroing up. This is going to be a later game. As far as MisterDee is concerned, he's trying to get that all set up so that he's going to be very comfortable later on. But then at the same token, Livibee is doing exactly the same thing. Just taking it very, very easy and playing very, very safe.
Yeah, and it's important to talk about what MisterDee has done so far. Is he's actually been on one gas until just now. Just now his second and third gases are finishing up, and he's going to saturate those. He's got a Warp Prism with a Sentry and 2 Zealots that he wants to drop in the Zerg's main base. But there's this Zerg is really defensive. She has not taken a third base at all by 8 minutes, and that's kind of dangerous. If any kind of 2-base timing was coming, MisterDee would be able to walk over her. But since he's trying to do drops, that's going to be shut down 100% by this defensive play that she's got going on.
Yep, indeed it will be. And in fact, Roaches have shown up to help take care of this. There's a couple of Zealots and a Sentry inside that. Queens are going to start working away on that Warp Prism, despite the fact that they have good speed. Yeah, and he gets turned away very quickly. MisterDee sees it, doesn't like it, and away he goes. And he's gone, so he must be feeling pretty good about that. And yeah, I mean, continuing on, just down, she's grabbing a Spire. This is quite smart as far as I'm concerned. This Mutalisks are so good nowadays. With Whirlwind itself, you'd be able to dodge in and out of both the main and the natural, and especially the expansions, so easily with these very fast Mutalisks. And so, if she can get some good harassment down, she'll be in good shape. But speaking of harassment, a couple of Zealots working away on the third expansion on the northern side of her base. She can't be happy about that.
No, and that third base might... Oh no, the Zealots actually don't focus fire, they go for a Roach, and they're going to be picked off. So that third's going to get up just fine. There's one Sentry in that Warp Prism that's not going to be dropped. There's way too many units there. But actually, right now, as it stands, both players are equal on economy. That is not something... That's not a situation you want to be in as a Zerg player. And MisterDee is going to be ahead on upgrades. And he's even got a tech answer to the Mutalisks, well, potential Mutalisks that are coming up from Livibee. The Spire is finishing in 10 seconds, but there's already a Stargate out for MisterDee, and so he could just decide, oh, you know what, a 2-base Zerg that's making Mutalisks, I'll just make Phoenixes. Yeah, and there they go. There's 6 Mutalisks, 8, 9 Mutalisks on the way right now.
Yep, indeed. And like you said, this is a situation where I think that third base is a little bit too late for Livibee. This is a classic example of, I mean, Wings of Liberty, it was established. The Zerg needs to be always at least 1 base ahead of their opponent, and getting that third up was just a little too late in my mind. It's like 2 base versus 2 base as it sits right now, and for a good long period of time, until this gets saturated and really the production gets going on it, this is going to slow Livibee down by quite a bit. But the Mutalisk is a good choice. And now, as we can see, a good number of them flying across the map here, and 9 of them in total about to fly on into the natural. There's a good number of Stalkers here, as well as a Void Ray. I stand corrected, 2 Stalkers and a Void Ray. Certainly enough that these, and a couple of Sentries, but enough that these Mutalisks could take them out if they so choose. A couple more Stalkers are getting warped in here. However, the probes are getting killed off, and as you can see, very quickly hightailing it out of there and transitioning elsewhere. Just literally harassing the teeth out of MisterDee.
Yeah, 10 workers killed from those Mutalisk pressures. Actually, there's a much kind of exposed broken way of Roaches that's going to get killed off. It tries to recall it in the cigar. There's a bunch of Roaches, so there's Roachling Muta out on the map right now for Livibee. This is actually a very old style that was popularized by a guy named E-Captain Wings of Liberty when nobody really had a solid answer to the Protoss 2-base, 3-base timings. This was before Stefano was made his real mark. But now there's a couple Mutalisks versus a couple Phoenixes versus so many Mutalisks. The Mutalisks can't take these guys out. They don't have Phoenix range, so when they go into attack, if the Mutalisks fall up and hit one, the glaive shots will do so much damage. But MisterDee is being careful about it. He's controlling his Phoenixes pretty well, and Livibee backs out there and is pretty happy with the damage she's done, really. 26 workers killed. The Protoss is stuck on 2 bases, and the third base is fully saturated for Livibee. She's in a commanding position.
Oh, absolutely. 66 workers to 29. Economically, that's going to take forever for MisterDee to get back into this game. He has either two choices, I think, as it sits right now. Attack with what he's got, or sit back and bunker up like nobody's business for a very long time. When you have literally half the worker supply of your opponent, you are going to take a long, long time to get back into it. As you can see, Chrono boosting out the workers as fast as humanly possible to try and get himself back into this game. We do have a fleet beacon on the way, and it is researching the Axion Pulse Crystals for the Phoenix to help deal with these Mutalisks. And as you can see, like you were saying, Phoenix are very, very good against Mutalisks, but some Corruptors in this guy as well. And so many Mutas just trying to chase down. But as you can see, Phoenix can move, shoot while moving, and they do move very, very quickly. So these Mutas cannot chase them down. And so this is just kind of a detrimental return for Livibee if she continues to try and engage those Phoenix. But that being said, MisterDee is in a very, very tough position as it sits right now. And the Mutalisks get in and just adding insult to injury, just spanking down on top of a lot more workers, literally target firing and then backing on out. The damage literally being done here as well.
Yeah, and this composition that Livibee is playing with this, which is Mutalisk Corruptor, that's a composition that a couple of European Zergs are very famous for. Nerchia most notably plays this in almost all of his PvZs. He says, oh, well, you're going to go Sky Toss, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to have a bunch of bases. And that's what Livibee is doing. She double expanded out of her third base. She's on her fourth and fifth bases. There's a little bit of an engagement here between Phoenixes and Muta Corruptor. And they're going to trade relatively evenly, but Livibee is on 5 bases. And the Protoss is on 2. And there's a move out from the Protoss. MisterDee knows, okay, I'm on 2 bases. I've been on 2 bases all game long. I'm going to fall way behind if I don't do something. But I feel like it's already too late. The 169 supply versus less than 100 for MisterDee. And he's really got to make something happen.
Yeah, Livibee in a very commanding position. Substantially larger army. But unfortunately, losing that 4th base is not going to be good. But, I mean, that doesn't matter at this particular point. The economic damage on MisterDee has been done. He's going to be having a hard time dealing with this. He's got roaches working away on his front door. Mutalisks and Corruptors are going to show on up to try and help take care of that front door problem as well. A couple of sentries get some force fields down, but that's not going to be enough to hold it down. At the same token, a little bit of a base trade here. We do have a lot of Stalkers and these Immortals working away on the front door. Generally, as a rule, base trades do not favor Zerg ever. And but that being said, a big GG, and Livibee takes game number 1. That is an absolutely phenomenal engagement there, and it looks like Skype is not working out for me at all. And I love it. Gotta love Skype. But at the end of the day, I think Livibee played this really, really well. The harass with the Mutalisk was a good choice, getting in there, doing so much damage. The biggest mistake MisterDee made was not addressing that as quickly as he did. Should have pulled the workers, get them out of there, get some units up to support. Instead, he just let them sit there and die, and it didn't work out well for him at all.
Yeah, the Livibee being able to keep him stuck on 2 bases for so long with Muta Corruptor, that did not end up working out well for him at all. But I really liked Livibee's choices in this game. I'm curious to see if those choices will remain consistent and well thought out throughout the series. MisterDee could easily do some kind of crazy timing that throws her off. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. As it stands now, I would say that Livibee has an advantage going into the series, just not only with the +1 game up over her opponent, but also in terms of comfortability with PvZ. She seemed like she knew what she was doing, and she knew exactly when to make what choices, and was very comfortable doing so.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll be back in just a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, please just stay tuned for a second. We're going to run some commercials. We're going to get a game number 2, and we'll see whether or not Livibee is able to continue on with this very brilliant play of hers, or whether or not MisterDee is going to be able to pull a game out of this series and bring himself back into a 1-1 into this round of 3 in the losers bracket. My name is Niteshade.
And I'm Jowj. We'll see you back here in about 90 seconds.
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. Game number 2 in this series. Livibee taking a fairly decisive victory in this game number 1. This is game number 2 now. And joining me is Jowj. Jowj, could you be so kind as to introduce both of these wonderful players?
Sure thing. In the bottom right-hand side of this map on Alkaline Wastes is MisterDee, our blue Protoss player. He's down one game underneath his opponent, Livibee, who is the reserve in the top left. Livibee showcased a really interesting Ling Roach 2-base into Mutalisk mass expand style on Warwind. I'm interested to see if the same sort of theory will apply to this game, or if she has another build that she wants to try. What do you think, bro? What do you think we're going to see in this game?
Alkaline Flats is an interesting map. Because of the fact that you now know exactly where your opponent is located, you can conduct a lot of earlier harass. So that is going to be something that we can expect to some limited degree. That being said, I don't think MisterDee is going to do anything crazy. I think he's going to actually just bunker right down, play as safe as humanly possible, and but it'll take a couple of minutes here just for him to figure out what he wants to do. And we'll see in just a minute. Does he grab gases? Where does he go with his build? And that will give us a fairly good indicator of where he wants to be. That being said, Livibee is in a really good position here. Taking game number 1 is really, really good, and basically will allow her to be able to choose how she wants to engage. She'll be able to go with early harass. She can go for macro game. She may very well go with what she's comfortable with, which is perhaps what that last match was, is her out of the box default, ZVP standard build that she's comfortable with. So I mean, anything goes at this point, but I would certainly think that in my mind, MisterDee is going to play it safe, and it does look like it's going to be that he's going to go for a forge fast expand.
Yeah, that forge fast expand, I'm interested as to know why he went for the forge fast expand, especially on this map, I guess. This map has a little bit of a wider choke at the natural, so like a Baneling bust or some kind of Roach compression would be much harder to stop on this map. But nothing crazy is coming out of Livibee. Livibee has gone for the 14 bull, going to be adding on a natural hatchery, adding queens, and a couple of lings just to scout pylons around the third base to make sure the third base is easily secured. But yeah, natural is being taken by MisterDee. He's got forward up. He's got the natural nexus. He's got the gateway, starting the photon cannon, and yeah, just going to be opened up pretty standard from both sides.
Yep, really nice, safe build by MisterDee. He knows he needs to play this game very, very well, and this also gives him the best possible economy earliest in the game. By having these two Nexus cranking out probes like nobody's business, it's going to be very good. But it is not an early pressure build. He's going to have a very, very difficult time attacking anything earlier than, say, about 7 minutes. He's going to be fine. But that being said, he will be able to defend this all day long. And as long as he doesn't really make any major mistakes, early pressure, he'll be in a really, really good shape. And that Overlord running over top has given Livibee a great deal of scouting information. It has seen that it is a Forge Fast Expand and the Nexus is up. So she knows that she's completely safe. What is her answer? Throws down a third. Very, very smart decision making by her. This is a great decision, be able to just quickly grab that third. She knows she's not going to see any offensive units for quite some time, and why not press the advantage? If you already have a slight advantage and your opponent is going to turtle up, you expand, you get more macro, more economy, and you'll be better shape.
Yeah. Cybernetic score finishing up for MisterDee. This Cybernetic score timing is relatively early, but it's not too big of a deal. It's not necessarily indicative that it's going to be way aggressive. What we're going to be waiting to see is from the Protoss players where he's spending his chrono boost. If he's chrono boosting the Forge and the Cybernetic score, he could very easily go into a 1 timing like +1 attacks, or even a 1/1 timing into like Mortal Sentry. But where we're waiting to see is tech choice. Tech choice usually happens around 6 minutes for Protoss off the Forge Fast Expand. And it's Stargate in this case. There it is.
Yep, and indeed, that is right, Stargate. It is tucked away in the corner, so it has not been scouted. There is a Mothership core out in the skies. Chrono boosting out actually workers as opposed to chrono boosting out Cybernetics core, going for the Warp Gate, or even going for a +1 upgrade. So as you mentioned, saving the chronos for the economy, certainly going to need it if you're working with a Stargate play. And we have another pylon going on over the left-hand side, so I'm assuming we'll have more additional structures over there. But things looking really good for MisterDee. But yeah, Stargate play, maybe some more Phoenix play. I think that's perhaps something he's getting prepared for early on, maybe thinking that Livibee will continue the same kind of play as last match.
Yeah, And I'm going to go over to Livibee's base for a little while, and she did something that a couple of Zergs have been doing since Wings of Liberty. And Forge Fast Expand builds against Zerg, you want to take fast 3 base and then get gases around 6 minutes. Or you can delay gases until 6:30 and get 3 gases at once. And that's what she opted for, 3 gases and then getting Evolution Chamber and Roach Warren relatively early. And her supply is at 60 at the 7 minutes and 30 seconds of the game. That's very nice. She's going to have a very, very solid macro base for the rest of the game. She's not a hedge. This is kind of a benchmark she wants to hit. Is about 70 supply by 8 minutes. And she's doing very well. She's teching up to Lair. She's probably going to get +1 Roach attacks here shortly. She got that Evolution Chamber. And she's saturated on the gas on 3 bases and on 3 gas on total. So she's doing pretty well. Let's take a look at the worker count. She has 56 workers to 45. I would expect, if she wanted to do some kind of crazy roach aggression, I would expect something like adding on maybe 5 to 10 more drones and then going mass roaches. But since she's adding on 3 spore crawlers plus more distractors, I would bet we're going to see something besides roaches.
Yep, and an Overlord is going to come in, back on in. I don't know why she pulled that one particular Overlord back. That's kind of interesting. Normally you leave them out so then that way you get some additional scouting, especially from like war prisms and such that are coming in. Phoenix is taking the long way around, hunting down some Overlords. Perhaps that's the reason why. And she lost the one that was down here scouting, so she's pulling on back her Overlords. She doesn't want to lose anything, so that's precisely why she's doing exactly that. MisterDee just continuing on with his build, just getting Warp Gate finished up now. Grabbing some additional gateways, as we can see, and a bunch of pylons so he won't be supply blocked. And also more Phoenixes on the way. And this is actually a really interesting build. If she switches over to Hydralisk, which she is doing right now, and then continues on with these missile attacks as well as Carapace upgrades, grabbing that additional Evolution Chamber really quickly so that she can do that. Roach Hydra, really, really good. And this is actually kind of playing against MisterDee. MisterDee going with an air build, and Hydras are so good against air. And yes, there's a good number of Phoenix here, and she's actually MisterDee is going to take care of a good couple of Overlords, but not able to really influence these mineral lines because of the fact that there are Spore Crawlers and Queens defending them at literally every single site.
Yeah, Livibee is now at her magic number of drones. She's at 70 drones. She's adding on 15 Hydralisks and getting actually Hydra range first. Hydra range makes it look like she wants to be a little bit more defensive first. If you want to be aggressive, usually muscular augments first, which is the Hydra speed, but Aspire is coming down. And in this case, I would say, oh, that's interesting. I was going to say, in this case, it's probably not for Mutalisks. But she canceled +2 ranged attack. And she's getting ranged Hydralisk attack for the Hydra upgrade rather than speed. And normally, if you do a Hydra into Mutalisk swap, you only get 1 upgrade. So this could still be Mutalisks. She's baking a fair number of gas. Yeah, this could be Mutalisks, but I guess I would still say that it's probably going to be for Corruptors. Yeah, and there's an infestation pit at the same time, so this is probably going to be for Corruptors and do some kind of poke.
Yep, absolutely. She has 11 roaches on the waist, but these Hydralisks do not have the speed upgrade, and they're going to be very slow to get on out of here. Get a couple of cancels there on, but at the end of the day, I don't feel that this is a great idea. All right, there's the muscular augments going down. I think she values the range so that she can handle the anti-air a little bit better. But it looks like the Hydras are going to move on up front, but there is a Colossus here, and this is a small force of units here. They're not going to be terribly intimidated by these Hydras because you can see they are moving on back. I'm just wondering where these roaches are. They need to get into high gear and get on out. There they are. There's a handful of them, and it looks like the forces are all withdrawing back here to this particular location, and where they'll regroup. And Phoenix is moving in over for MisterDee. It looks like he's going to continue to try and do some harass, maybe pick off some additional Overlords, or not, and just going to hold a holding position. This Overseer does see it, and Livibee pulls it out of position very, very quickly indeed. She's playing really good StarCraft today, I must say. Like, no major mistakes, and she's just catching everything in the minimap.
Yeah, and that's interesting. She made a couple of Mutalisks and now is making Corruptors. So she's only on like 6 Mutalisks, and she is getting rated upgrades for the Mutalisks. This is very weird. She's also going up to Hive Tech, and in this case, it seems like she's not quite sure what she wants to do, because she's drowning, which is normal, whatever you're doing. She's taking the 4th bases. She's pretty happy on her saturation on 3. She wants to just make sure that 4th gets instantly saturated and gets the gases. and can continue production and whatever, but she's got double evolution chambers, she's got Mutalisks and Corruptors out, she's got all the Hydra upgrades, she's getting Enduring Locusts, and she's going out to Hive. She can't afford all of this. She's got a huge surplus of minerals and almost no gas because she can't afford all the tech that she's chosen. So I really am not sure where she wants to go in the end game.
Yeah, it seems a little bit odd. It's almost like it's one or the other. I mean, I think you can go Roach Hydra and have a very strong force, or you can have a lot of Mutalisks and have a very strong force, or you can have a lot of Swarm Hosts or Infestors, and again, you can have a very strong force. But to have, for lack of better terms, I don't think it's able to be balanced. I don't think you can have a lot of Roach Hydra, a lot of Mutalisk. They don't complement each other very, very well. And I think she started off with a Roach Hydra type build, and then this is what she's kind of wound up to. I think the Corruptors and the Mutalisk are to help deal with the Phoenix play, just so that she has something that moves very quickly and can answer the anti-air of the Phoenix. But at the same token, this is slowing her down by quite a bit, I should add. And I think maybe the Swarm Host is an afterthought after there to help try and siege the front door, and that's why she's going with the Locusts and the Enduring Locust upgrade as well.
Yeah, I mean, and in most Zerg players' minds, Swarm Hosts are the go-to unit in late game ZVP. You have to transition out of them eventually, but they're so good in so many circumstances. They're so cost-effective. And if you've seen any of Stefano's games, you know how ridiculously cost-effective they are. Stefano, in the recent months, has been doing the lamest possible Zerg play that you can imagine. But it's the correct way, right? It's the best way to play against Protoss late game. There's not a better way and more reliable way of doing it. And it's just so horrendously cost-effective. There's not a good reason to not do it. But in this case, she doesn't quite have the numbers she needs, right? Swarm Hosts are usually best in numbers of 16 to 18, and in this case, there's 7. And this is a result of a little bit of that bipolar choice that she was making earlier, where, oh, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. I'm going to make Roach Hydra, and then I'm going to make Mutalisk, and then I'm going to make Corruptors, and then I'm going to tech, and then I'm going to cancel an upgrade and then remake it. She can't quite decide what she wants to do, either as a reaction to her opponent's composition or as a reaction to having so much freedom on the map.
And things not going well for MisterDee. He's lost all of his Phoenix, just a bad flyby over top of the Hydralisks. Of course, they shoot into the sky. And MisterDee, in response to that, actually knocks down his Rock Tower to buy himself some additional time. Very smart move, doesn't cost any energy, and will buy him at least a couple of seconds to be able to kind of get things back together and kind of refocus on what's going on. He does have a good force that can engage this very, very well. Does he have an Observer? Yes, he does. So he can take out these Swarm Hosts, but it's now free units versus expensive units. And earlier in this series, in this tournament, yesterday in the evening, I was mentioning that, this is a play that we will see quite a bit between Zerg and Protoss. Locust play is so good, and will just continue to whittle away at MisterDee until he can get out and push this. Now, that being said, Livibee does not have any detection with her right now out in the field. So if MisterDee is able to push out, he will be able to kill these Swarm Hosts. There's going to be no detection to take care of the Observer. So, but that being said, there is a good bit of Vipers here to help pull these Colossus and Void Rays out of position here. So we'll see how this is going. Take it from here. This is like getting really, really good.
Yeah. There's a big engagement possibly happening right now. Livibee can abduct Colossus, can abduct Void Rays just like that. Yeah, this is a big engagement. But Livibee is in a bad position. The force fields dissect the army, and Livibee is forced to push back. She doesn't really have to commit very much. She's waiting for the Locust to come in. She doesn't have to push until the Locust is there and able to make a lot of the damage for her. But there's something that's distracting her. She's losing her 5th base from the top middle part of the map just to a warp in from that speed prism. That warp prism is so very fast from the recent patch, and there's no defenses back at home for her. She's got so many minerals, but she hasn't had the time. She hasn't had the APM to dedicate to building static defense. She needs to deal with these drops and these mass warp-ins in her main, or she could lose the game.
Yep, absolutely. And trying to hold here, getting a good another abduct on the Colossus. All the Colossus have now indeed fallen. And it is now, again, Locusts working away on these ground units. Without the Colossus putting down the DPS, it's going to be a bit of a problem. But that being said, she has problems of her own. And this mass Zealot force is just going to town, killing off the Queens, working away in her main now, as well as in her third, and I think even, no, not in her natural. And this is going to force a complete retreat of all of her units to be able to handle this, save for the Swarm Host and the Vipers, who are going to stay forward to help continue to apply pressure on MisterDee. But MisterDee, really a very, very economically good counterattack and doing a lot of damage. And in fact, even being able to kill a hatchery is going to slow things down for Livibee quite a bit.
Yeah, he's actually killed 2 hatcheries and he's making his way to killing a third in that bottom left-hand side. There's just one zealot going to town on that hatchery, but yeah, there comes some Hydralisks. They're going to clean that up. The Locusts have remained at the forefront of this game. They've been just rallied into that third base of MisterDee. MisterDee has no bank. Look at his money. He's broke. He's spending all of it so fast. There's no fourth base for him. There's no transition coming up. He's still stuck. That warp in back at Livibee's house, that was exactly what they wanted. It did a lot of damage, but he's still stuck. He's got no transition. He's got no money. He can't deal with this army of Livibee. And yeah, here comes, this is the number of Swarm Hosts that you need. Livibee has 19 Swarm Hosts right now, and this will do critical damage to the army of MisterDee. And here comes the big engagement. Just from Locusts. There's a lot of Locusts just doing damage to those Stalkers, those Colossus. And yeah, MisterDee says, you know what, I can't engage that, I'm going to back up. And now his army is out of position, and this third base is going to go down.
Oh, absolutely. It's tit for tat. You take my third base, I'll take yours. And you're absolutely right. He has no economy. He has no way to transition out of this. He cannot expand. He doesn't have the 400 minerals needed for another Nexus. He's got to try and take out the Swarm Host, and it looks like he's doing precisely that. There's no detection here to take care of the Observer. The Colossus is going to fall, but so are so many Swarm Hosts. Nice time warp, slowing things down here for these Hydralisks as they try to engage all of the Void Rays. However, unfortunately, so many units are checking out, and a big GG, and Livibee takes game number 2. Very decisively again. I'm actually really liking her play a great deal. And the reason I say that is that you can see that she's putting thought into it. What am I going to do next? Where am I going to go with this? How am I going to do these things? Yes, certainly, I think there's some hesitation with regards to the kind of the build composition she was choosing, going with a Swarm Host, Roach Hydra, ultimately losing the Roaches and just having Hydra Swarm Host to support. But it did look pretty shaky there in the middle. It didn't look like it was the best, the most efficient build, but at the same token, it did work reasonably well. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, she couldn't make up her mind in that mid game because she tried a bunch of different stuff and tried to do a bunch of different stuff all at once, and it didn't quite work out for her. But once she got to the end game, she was obviously in her element. She knew what she was doing. She knew how to contain the Protoss. She didn't quite have everything together in terms of defenses back at home. She had enough money to really make that happen, but it didn't end up happening in that game because her attention was directed elsewhere. But that could easily be chalked up to land jitters because, I mean, you know, she's from Australia. She's flown all the way over here, and, you know, her sleep's probably not that great, and it's MLG. Everybody gets nervous in MLG. It really did look like she was just much more comfortable in the PvZ matchup than MisterDee.
Yeah, absolutely. And David, MisterDee is unfortunately knocked out of the tournament. He will not be continuing on through the losers bracket. Livibee, though, will advance into round 2 of the losers bracket. Will continue on the tournament. Her career is not over yet today. She is a caster from Sydney, Australia. Olivia will be, I'm sure, victorious or not. She will be heading back to continue on a very, very good career as a caster. But nonetheless, she will be continuing on. So keep your eyes peeled on her. She's doing quite well. Check her out on Facebook as well. I mentioned it earlier on. Let me just see if I can get you guys her Facebook page again. Facebook is facebook.com/TheLivibee, just like as you see on the screen earlier on. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. My name is Niteshade. We're going to take a quick commercial break and get ready for our next matchup, which is going to be starting in about 6 minutes' time. We're still trying to get the players together, his name for you. Once I get it to you, we will get it up onto the screen for you. But as it sits right now, just stay tuned. We'll be back in just a minute. My name is Niteshade.
And I'm Jowj, and we'll see you right back here real quick.